Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Game Testing Unlimited. My name is Wilfred. Today I'd like to spend some time playing Wolcen for you guys. Lots of mayhem. Special thanks to my friend Nostromo who sent me a copy for me to play. So thank you. And a lot of time I'm more into the game design rather than the game itself. So I'll spend quite a lot of time talking about the design aspect of the game. And just in case you want to see if you'd like to dive in right now or just hold off for later. This game is still very much on alpha state, so there's still a lot of content that's not available. I think right now if you pay the full price or sales price for the game, you can play around a couple of hours. You can level up to I think around level 15, and then you can grind yourself to level 20 with various kind of different gear, but that is about it. So it's still very much like a single player right now, although there are some like beta going on for the online play. So as and when there are more content to come, I'll do another coverage of the game. So I'm going to go ahead and play this game a little bit just to showcase to you what it does and what it is about. Now, whenever I look into a new action role-playing game, I always look into what is so unique about the game. So for example, Diablo 3 is of course the Diablo story arc to it. It's very fast-paced, a lot of action, a lot of mods, a lot of grinding, and a lot of progression. So that's Diablo. To me, if you look at Path of Exile, it's a very beautiful story from being exiled into challenging the gods and so on. It has a very unique way to build a character with the path, and the span of like really huge amount of options out there. You can have the gems for your skill, and you can connect the gems together to create some very interesting gameplay. If you look at Marvel Heroes back in the day when it was still online, there are many heroes or classes to play, and by and large in the Marvel universe. Looking at, say, Titan Quest is a very old school ARPG with the Greek mythology to it, and also things like Hellgate London, for example, is a sci-fi action role-playing game merged with shooter, a lot of loot, a lot of like random kind of content. So that would be the kind of features or things I look for in any games. And if you look at the more recent game like Book of Demons, the one that I'm playing right now, they merged the deck building into the whole action role-playing game to it. So every game to me has to be something unique so that it comes to me as a good game. So when I look at Wolcen, I'm struggling to find out what's so unique about this game. Now there are it's a mix of every other games that you have seen before. Initially, I thought it's more like a Titan Quest because you look at the character, the animation. It's more like a very like a HD version of the Titan Quest initially for me. I would say the graphic is very beautiful. It's one of the most beautifully made ARPG I've ever seen with the water, with everything they animate. Everything is so beautiful in this place. It's wonderful. There's weather effect. There's also day and night cycle to it. Something that you wish Diablo has it, but it doesn't really have that. And it looks prettier than, say, Path of Exile, for example. You look at all this detail of water reflecting on the surface and so on. So this game is by far the most prettiest ARPG that I've ever seen. Now, if that really means something to you, it could be something worth looking at, because I've known some friends who refuse to play any games that are not AAA standard. For me, though, I value gameplay more than the prettiness of the game itself. So, for example, I don't know whether you guys have noticed or not. No one has made a comment in my YouTube yet. The last video I've made on my favorite games in 2018, the last slide was actually taken from Dragon Age Inquisition. So all the screenshot was done by me on that video. And the reason why Dragon Age Inquisition, though I play, and it is the prettiest thing I ever seen so far in any role-playing game, that it didn't make it to my list of favorite game because the fact that the gameplay is just so damn boring for me. The Inquisition, the story is so slow, it didn't really go anywhere. I grow no interest or no patience for the game. So but some people like it because of the graphic and so on. Like, look at this one here. You look at the the water reflecting out from the ground is so beautiful. There are leaves that are coming out from the tree as well. So this is by far the prettiest looking game I've ever seen, period. Okay, now, besides its pretty face, what else is there in the game? Well, like I said, I mean, it's a mix of everything. Initially, a little bit of like a Titan Quest. But if you look at the, say, the build-wise, maybe I should show you the skill tree or the so-called passive tree. Let me just reset the specialization. Right now, it is at alpha, so it's all free to reset anything I want. But once the game is, on beta or even at launch, I do not know whether they will restrict you or not, because I personally prefer games that give me a lot more options for trying out things. So anyway, if you look at this Gate of Fate, that is basically what Wolcen is about. By the first glance, it looked very much like Path of Exile. In fact, some of you may say it is a copy or rip-off of Path of Exile. You may not be wrong about it. So it started off with base classes like Thief, like Hunter, like Legionary, like Arcanist or Guardian. So a little bit of magic, melee, rogue kind of play, or range kind of play to it. So that is basically what the Wolcen is, the tree that seems like a rip-off from Path of Exile. The difference is that there are some subtle differences. Let me just highlight that to you. In a way, they also merge the attribute points they bait it into the whole passive tree. Like, for example, some of these will have like +1 to toughness. Some of them is +1 to willpower. All these like, like in Path of Exile, the red, green, and blue kind of attribute to it. So in a way, it is like that. And there's also Keystone. I don't know what is it called in this game, but in Path of Exile, I think it's called Keystone. So I'll stick to what I know. That would give you some kind of build-defining kind of moments. But when I look through them, it is not really that build-defining to me. It is more like a utility, whereby some of which you want to, talking about regeneration of resources, or make it more powerful. It is not really build defining. I would not probably shape my whole entire build around it. I don't know. But another thing interesting about this, a couple of things interesting, is that all these are like wheels that you could turn it. So for example, this is the second tier of passive tree. You can turn it like differently. So you could merge your, say, Arcanist kind of like a build together with something that is more like this one here is more of a toughness to it, make it more durable if you want to, or make it more like so hang on. So this is more like make the build more durable. There's a lot of very durability related nooks to it. Or you can have things like the I keep clicking the wrong direction. Things like more elemental kind of like elemental power to it, so elemental storm, or some master of elements. So you could actually mix your class starting area, like this first tier, with something that is totally not your class. Like what I'll probably do is something more toughness to it. And there's a third tier as well, which is still work in progress. Right now I look into it, it doesn't really tell me much about what it's trying to do, but you could actually you could move things around, connecting to various kind of places, but that's about it. So Path of Exile designed in such a way that all this path is already written for you, but this one you have this illusion of being able to mix and match of what you want to do. Now in Path of Exile, you could always start off as a witch, and then you branch off to other classes by traversing through the tree, taking up points into other starting areas as well. Now in a way, you could do the similar thing as well here. You could, you cannot traverse from here to there, but what you could do is you can have a hybrid class. So you could have, say, I want an Arcanist, right? That take me, or I can be a Guardian as well. So I become a Battle Mage kind of like a concept to it. So I could go for things that my shield can block the magical damage. Like for example, I can get some of the note here, and I can get some keynote here as a speller, as a spellcaster. So you could build your character that way too. So it is probably something interesting about a game. is it trying to fix a problem that Path of Exile has that now become, there's a need for you to have a new game to play? I say not. I think Path of Exile design is pretty good. The only problem I have with Path of Exile is that there's an insufficient amount of experiment to it, so that I have to research upfront on what I need to play as versus I want to play the game and then learn my way and then experiment, make mistake and then correct it, change something different. So Path of Exile doesn't allow me to do that, which I think this game is probably, depending on whether the specialization can be reset at will or not. If not, then it's just back to the whole research thing here. Read the forum or watch YouTube and say which build is the one for you, then you stick with it, copy the whole thing. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. So now I'm not going to talk too much about this one yet. What I'll do right now is that I'll talk a little bit about the hang on a second. So I'll talk a little bit about the attribute as well as how the game work. Now they have some resource called the Umbra, which is like a mana. So you use mana to power certain kind of power, which is like the blue kind of power. You use a rage, which is red in color, to power certain things like the like some melee kind of power. So as you consume your Umbra and you gain rage as you are being hit or you hit something. So the idea is that when the mana runs out, you can't cast any spell. So what you can do, you could go back to the good old days of like you could use your basic power here. Now, how do you use basic power is through the weapon. So the weapon itself will give you a basic power. I'll demonstrate to you in just a bit. So you can use the weapon as basic power, then supplement with all your power that use the Umbra or some of the power that you can consume the rage in order to deal more damage. So that is the gist of it. There are two resources that seesaw each other. There's something called the stamina as well. The stamina allow you to roll around. So if you play Marvel Heroes after the biggest update ever, remember there are some like dash charges. You can dash like a couple of times or 5 times, I can't remember, and you need time to build up the charges. So it's the same concept here. You could dodge around and play the game the way that it is. Very much like Path of Exile, there are potions as well. The potions, some of them has a permanent kind of like affixes to it, and then you have on use. So far the potion, I don't see any shortcuts, so I have to mouse over to click it, a little bit clunky, but maybe the game is still in alpha. Now, the attribute is something that I'd like to talk about, because in games like Titan Quest or Hellgate London, it makes sense of attribute in a way that it makes sense to assign attribute, because you can only equip items when you meet a certain requirement for attribute. So for Hellgate London, for example, it would consume your attribute power or attribute point to equip certain items. So it makes sense. You build your character according to the gear that you picked up and the gear that you use. But in this game, all the items so far I'm seeing has no attribute requirement to it. So what is the point of assigning attribute? I don't quite know at this point in time, except the fact that I just want to balance out the attribute to the gear that I have. But then in games like Diablo 3, the whole attribute, or Marvel Heroes, the whole attribute is being baked into the game, a gear itself. For Path of Exile, the attribute is being baked into the passage tree itself. So is there a need to have the attribute and the passage tree that you see and the gear that you have? I personally think not. So in a way, it is just a matter of putting up sufficient amount of points to it, so that your character feel maybe good or whatever it is. But that is about it. All right. Now, since I'm going to play a game a little bit, so I'd like to, by the way, it's daytime, so you can see a little bit different here. So I'd like to just do a little bit of skill point to you guys here to demonstrate how this game is, kind of like configure like. Now I'm going to play a pure class right now, because it gets a little bit complicated when you do a hybrid, and I still don't think that the gear is being designed to support hybrid, unlike games like Marvel Heroes in the past, whereby it's very clear some of the notes or some of the gear promote the hybrid kind of like ability. So if you use melee, your range get buffed, or if you use firepower, the other power get buffed. So this game so far, I have not seen that. So hybrid is probably just a style of play style, I guess. But so I'll do a pure caster first, and then maybe in my next video or so, as and when they improve the game, I'll revisit the whole hybrid build again. So I'm going to start with the Arcanist. So the first note is basically cast spell and willpower. So it just picked that up. You can branch out to either one of them, but it's not really implemented yet. The next keystone that you like to talk about is the when my mana is empty or Umbra is empty, I have higher physical resistance. Kind of makes sense, because when my Umbra is empty is when I'm at the melee range, when I have to deal with all the nonsense around me. So and when my Umbra is full, my first power gain more damage, kind of like spell damage to it. So why not? So this is the keystone I like to go forward to. Now, what's the difference between the two paths? One is more about the generation of the mana or Umbra. The other is about the making it more powerful. And the theme is consistent throughout the rest of it, whereby one side is more about the generation of resource, the other side is about dealing more damage. So I'll just go ahead with the generation first. And I find that these are kind of useful for me, at least from a generation perspective. Okay, the next bit is that next two keystone. One is again about the generation of mana or Umbra when your Umbra is empty, or deal more damage when your Umbra is full. So I think is it a trade-off? I mean, yeah, why not I have both? So in order to have both, then I just need to open up all these things, and so it becomes both. So now I can access the next tier. Now I'm not going to walk through everything here, because otherwise the video will become too long. But I found that as you guys know me, I like a little bit of mix of toughness as well as durability, as well as more powerful. So I like to choose this one that is more like a durability to it. And also I found that this game is very strange right now, because the loose mob, like the regular mobs, are quite weak. They don't really damage you. It's not life-threatening. But when it comes to bosses, it's actually quite hard as well. They tend to just one-shot you. So it comes to a point whereby there's a lot of kiting in this game, and also a lot of just like toughness and durability to it. So let's go ahead with this. There are things like for example, like different resistance and so on, or these are not implemented yet. So I'll say that, well, I'll go ahead with the fire resistant, and then resistant, and then after that prevent 3% of all incoming damage, just resist all. I think is this keystone important? 1% chance to clear a random status effect each second. The answer to it is I don't know. 1% chance seems a little bit low, because if you have negative condition upon you, it will take 100 seconds to be clear based on this biological defense, and that is provided that it clear the right status. If it doesn't, I don't know what's going to happen. So so I'm not going to take up this keystone. But what I find it important probably is some of these things that you have here. So there are some kind of build defining moment, like for example, instead of rolling like a dodging, the one that you've seen before, what you do is that you create a like a shield kind of thing. I tried that. I didn't like it, because I think this game is more important to be able to roll than to create a shield instead. So these are like the build defining kind of like keystone, but I don't necessarily find it useful. So I'll just go ahead and pick this thing up instead. So all these are more for toughness. So again, I mean, I can go all the way down to here. These are all kind of nice to have, the regen and stuff like that. Damage resistance, and then I come to here. So the next bit is about the more about the presence. I think presence is more like a rook kind of stealth kind of thing. So I don't know. I haven't really got to that far yet, but I don't think I like the stealth. I don't like it. I like kind of frontal damage, and I don't like to just go behind, sneak behind, do stuff. So that is the one that I probably will skip. There's something called the bleeding as well, so you can do bleeding if you want. So it's if you do a little bit of guardian, and Arcanist, I think it will be quite interesting to do a little bit of bleeding if you are to it. I'm not really into it, and there are things that are not implemented yet. There's also a killer instinct kind of thing, so you can mark a target, but I haven't really tried it as well because I've unlocked it, but I couldn't find a spell at all in my spell book. So I'll just go ahead and do something like crit chance to weapon, which I think is important, another crit chance to weapon, and attack speed, which I think is important. Then I'll just stop here because I don't think there are anything I would like to explore into. I probably want to explore into things like the a bit of the increasing my overall power to things, but that is really about it. I could do a little bit of the to give a little bit more kind of like toughness to it. Why not I just do a guardian for the fun of it, because I do see myself doing a bit of it eventually. So yeah, I mean let's just I haven't really explore too much of it, but I mean you could just mess around with the whole thing here. Maybe I'll just take this keys. I mean, some of these keystone are quite important. So now I just confirmed this, and I'm not going to go too much about this whole thing here. Let's look into the attribute itself. So like I said before, the passive tree would then dictate some of the attribute that you have. You could top up the rest of it if you feel that they are not good enough. You can do an average to say maybe go for good. Maybe good is something that you like to 61, 62 is good, so you just pump everything to 62, then become good. But all this good, average, whatever is all relative, so you see the thing go changing a bit here and there. So yeah, all right, okay, so good. So this average, okay, that's fine, confirmed, doesn't really matter. So like I said before, I mean, all these things doesn't really mean a lot to me because it's not a requirement. It's just a little bit of, I don't know what it does in this game right now so far here. So now I am going to play a little bit of the game so that you can get a sense of how this game is played like. I'm going to repeat one of the quests that I've done because there aren't really a lot of content in this game so far. So the story-wise is a little bit... The story is straightforward. There's not really a lot of depth to it so far, but it does its job. It doesn't have any voiceover nor say the cutscene at all. So I don't know, work in progress. But without voiceover, just reading text, it's not even like, like if you look at Diablo 3 and Path of Exile, both of them have a fair amount of a voiceover to it. It makes the game more like alive, but this game is like just reading text to it so far. So like for example, there's a chest here, of course, but sometimes you may miss it. So you have a group of mobs here. I have something called the Frost Comet. So by the way, it may be time to share with you a little bit on the spell book itself. So this is like the active skill tree. So what I've got here is that what you could do is that you could have different kind of like a skill to it, like the fireball. These are fire damage. These are like a lightning damage. So I'll demonstrate a little bit: 2 lightning, 2 fire, and 2 frost. A little bit of melee as well. Some of this could be used when you are using the melee weapon. How do you acquire this? You have something called like the spell book here. So this is a spell book. Right now, I've already known this spell, so I can't really do it. But you could actually mix and match whatever you have to it, and each of the spell will have a level to it as well. This is level 6. This is level 1. So I believe the more you use a spell, the more you level up. Just like Path of Exile, the gems that you have. All right. So now, like this power is a Frost Comet. The problem I have with this game right now is that like you see a group of mobs here. You say, okay, let's drop a Frost Comet here. So let's do it. But guess what? It dropped here. In Marvel Heroes or any other games, you could actually see where the distance or the range of it. Right now, you don't. So you get a little bit guessing. So you say maybe I come close a little bit, probably until here, and drop a things here, right? But that is the furthest you can go, right? So now I can do a lightning damage. I can do a fire damage like this guy here. So these are very much like if you play World of Warcraft, they are like a group of mob that are just waiting for you to attack, and if you come close to you aggro them. So yep. Now the eyes that you see, these are basic power. Now I can roll. As I dodge the damage itself, so I can roll and I just like do damage here and there. So you could pick up the loot here. So for example, so that is one battle itself. Very much like the World of Warcraft kind of thing, whereby the mob just stay there waiting for you to aggro them. Unlike games like Diablo 3 or Path of Exile, whereby the mob come to you, it's more urgent and exciting. So that's one thing. Now the other thing about this game is that, of course, is selling point. Unique selling points that you can change the camera angle if I do it right. So you can say, okay, that's spotted something there. But it's not that easy to change the angle itself. So yeah. So you can pick up stuff here. Later on, you could set it off as well, and you can see whether it's useful for you or not. Because I'm not doing melee, but I could do a battle mage in the future, and see how the thing go. There's no auto arrange, so it's a little bit of Tetris playing as well to just shift things around. In this time of era, though, it seems a little bit of tediousness, a bit of tedious to play this. Okay, another thing unique about this game is that instead of just a shoulder item like Diablo 3, I can't remember what Path of Exile has these days, but there are two shoulder, one is left and right. So when you loot stuff, it could be on the left, it could be on the right. So each one of them has a different art to it. Each piece has its own artwork, so give you kind of options to have a different cosmetic feel to it. There's a cape, there's also left and right bracer as well. So I guess your character may have a different bracer, left and right, may look differently. I don't know. It doesn't look differently to me. But my question maybe to the developer is that if there are left and right bracer, why not have a left and right shoe, right? Because why have the same boots? Because I could have left and right bracer. Anyway, don't think too hard. So the armor itself, just three basic tiers. Three basic types. So one is a light. This is light armor, which I think is used by rogue or like arcanist. There's something called medium as well. Medium is like this one here. No, some are like medium. I don't have any medium stuff right now here, but there are things like this is a medium armor that is more for melee because there are rage conservation, which you don't want to have it. Or you can have things like the heavy as well. Like heavy armor is more like more the tank kind of spec to it. So I guess one is melee DPS, one is melee tank / like a rogue kind of thing, medium. I don't know if you want to do medium thing, but that's about it. Okay, so the like I said before, the base. This is the basic power. When you don't have any mana, this is the one that you have. So it's not the end of the world when you don't have it. So I'm just going to repeat one of the quests I've done before, just to show you how the whole game plays like. For this one here. So if you play the if you play Path of Exile, the labyrinth, you have all these like traps and so on. So this game does have the same too. Oh, by the way, if it rains or there's some water puddle here, if I use lightning power, some of these will just jump to another mob. So they just stand here. So I mean, right now the game is rather dead right now because the mobs are not smart enough to come in to attack you as a group. So yeah, that's about it. And there's no loot. So you try to avoid getting destroyed by all this stuff here. I'm really terrible in this. You guys know it. So I'm not at all good at all this like Mario Brother kind of thing. So those of you do and like it, well, congratulations. I mean, this may be something that you enjoy playing. So now this is yet another group here. I'm going to drop a comic kind of thing. There are different kind of magic as well. I could do thing here. Now the other problem is this game is that there's a lot of very high pillar, but you can't really see what happened. That is using the rage, so it's a little bit behind. So you could of course rotate the thing a little bit, but then by the time you may get attacked and things may not look too good for you. So yeah, that's about it. You can have gems as well. You can move the thing a little bit, and so one by one they'll come to you. You can drop whatever, but sometimes it does like you do miss, so you can do You can do a rage kind of thing. So this is like a smash on the floor kind of thing. So a bit of cannon here, there. Try not to get destroyed by the cannon. Alright, well, actually I'm not too bad about this game, or at least this part of it. Is there any point coming to here? Well, I think there was a point, but I've already done this quest already. Oh man. Yep, so there was a switch somewhere here before, I think. Oh, there's a chest here, alright, so I'm glad that I've done that. But nothing really fantastic, so I could take a look at the item that I've got. So it's a cape that is... it's a level 12 cape that is better than what I have. The other one is the okay. Sure, I'll take this one. It's not too bad. Fire resistance. Stack this a little bit here. This is a level 12. Blah blah blah. I don't want to generate rage at all. But the level 7. So. Oh well, why not? So just equipped that, and the rest of it is a medium. I mean, I prefer light armor, but there's just no option for it. No, I don't want that. Actually, I changed my mind. So nope, there aren't really a lot of loot that is for my build. Now then, I just have to make sure I don't get whacked by this thing. It's just a little bit of like a trial and error. You'll get it. So you can have the lightning orbs, then you just go back a little bit, and dodge a bit, and I level up. Whoa, fantastic. So after you level up, you could add some attribute point. This is average, maybe everything become average. Huh. Whatever. Okay, so I mean there aren't really a lot to it. And there's a little bit of seesawing here. Ooh, chopping board. Okay, so so I can like lure them there. Yep. So I think it's a bit of getting used to it. So this cannon is a little bit homing. Have to be careful a little bit. So we try to lure them into the thing, but then I don't know. Very wonderful. The pillar get into the way. A bit of now, of course, I could rotate the camera here, but seriously, I mean, in the heat of the battle, why would anybody do that? I don't know. I can board here and then wait for them to hit. Well, I hit 2 out of 3. Okay, done. All right. So that is the part of it, and the is there any point to come here? Well, there's another treasure here. Who knows? There may be something for my nope, nothing real for me. So that is the. It looks good on camera, but I did it just randomly, man. I don't know. It's just one of those. Oops! Why am I coming here? Well, there's nothing here. Ooh. Well, that is really random. But oh my goodness, this is not something I'm very good at. Well, at least these are not one-shotting me. Unlike say Path of Exile, that you get one shot if you are not careful. So yep, that is the comeback of it, and there's a lot more mobs here, so have to be a little bit careful. Lure them here. Yeah, not bad. Got a whole bunch of them. Not enough armbar, so you just do a little bit of melee, and then probably here. Alright, okay, so feel good about it. Maybe here, I don't know. Ooh, well, I don't know why I did twice. You can do a bit of melee, a bit of like lightning orbs here, roll over here. So you know, maybe come here and see. Yeah, alright, so yep, that's about it. Then you can activate this guy here, which I've already done it. So I hope that gives you a little bit of idea of how this game is like. So it very much I don't know. It's just then you have to rotate the camera a little bit here. Then it's just a bit strange to be honest. Oops. Yep, that's fireball done. So that's done. So to I can't get through. So yeah, I mean, do let me know how you guys feel about Wolcen, or have I missed out anything that you guys, some of you may have played a lot more than me. I've just played a couple hours, like maybe 2 or 3 hours. So my opinions here is just based on the very first impression of the game. And the last thing I'd like to share with you is probably the spell vendor itself. I think that's rather interesting if I manage to find him for you guys. Because once I change the camera angle, I get a little bit disorientated. So this is the one. You could like sell a spell book that you have, acquired before for knowledge power. Once you've done that, then you could actually use that to level up any spell that you have to the next level. So that is something that you could do. Or you can use to buy a spell that you want to have, but you haven't looted it yet somehow. That goes well as well. Or you should also like this one here, just sell off all the things that you don't need. There's no like a Diablo kind of thing, one button to do everything. And for anything that you like to store away for your experiments later on, maybe another build and so on, you could just dump them into stash if you want to, but that's about it. That is the Wolcen to you. So what do you think, guys? I think my conclusion at the end of the day would be that it's very slow paced game. No doubt it's very, very pretty, but also look very generic to me because it's like a mix of all the games like Path of Exile influenced. It's not really addressing the problem of Path of Exile, if I may say, or a little bit of like a mix of Titan Quest, maybe not too much on Diablo, because Diablo has a lot more mobs, a lot more voiceover to it, but it doesn't right now. So and some of the music when it comes to the dungeon is also very plain. Now the music sounds good, but then some other music actually is not really that great as well. Last thought to it is that some of the dungeon that I've been to, although reward is pretty good, but how dungeons be designed, like in Diablo 3, they would at the end of the dungeon there is like like something that you can activate to return to the beginning of the dungeon, so you don't have to backtrack all the things that you've done. Or like Path of Exile had done it really smartly. What they've done is that they have at the end of the dungeon, it actually go into another part of the map itself. So as though that this is being integrated with the map. You don't need to retrace the whole everything that you've done. But so far in Wolcen, though, I went to some of the dungeons. You have to backtrack to the entire dungeon that you've been to, that you have already cleared, just to get back to the entrance. Although I can see it from a role-playing perspective, it kind of makes sense, but I guess from my perspective, kind of like a little bit, I wanted something that's faster. And also the character is looking a little bit not that pleasant looking. Maybe it's just an alpha state, but who knows. As and when the game has some improvement or new patch, I'll play again and I'll share with you my thoughts as well. Yeah, that's all about it. Today is the 25th of December. Finally, Merry Christmas. Been saying this for so many times in the video, but I always thought that I would take a break, but then I always end up making another video. And also, for those who are celebrating New Year, Happy New Year. 2019 is around the corner. I'm very excited to see what kind of games I could feature in this channel for you guys. All right, see you. Bye.